Dr. DP, huh? All right. Thanks, everybody, for sticking around. I hope you had some drinks to warm you up. A little buzz will make this even more fun. I got to tell you the story real quick about how Showdown came about. Myself and many of my colleagues were organizing meetups, and the pandemic hit, and everything went on Zoom, and it was just not the same. And I thought a lot of how can we do something that is interactive, that's fun, and I went to Hans, and I'm like, hey, Hans is my boss. I went to Hans, I'm like, listen, Hans, I want to do something cool. I want to do a game show, but I need some money because it's not going to be cheap. I need to, build this game show platform. And he's like, okay, go find out how much it costs. And we interviewed around 15 streaming companies. And we finally found the folks from Yuru who are behind the scenes, Chris and Mara, I don't know, they're somewhere, and they put together this proposal to build Showdown, to do something like a game show, make it fun and interactive, where the audience is not just consuming content, but also can get to interact with content. And Hans, bless his heart, I mean, he took a chance on it. It wasn't cheap, right? And we built this thing, and it became super successful. Thousands of folks have been watching it, and that's how we got here. And so I said, hey, for DP Summit, we should do Showdown in person, and that's where we are. And that's what this thing is all about, is hoping you learn something new about developer productivity and get entertained at the same time. So with that, let's go with announcing our 4 contestants. Aubrey from Netflix. I met her, come on up. I met her many years ago when her and her team. She's amazing, and she's a Showdown winner, by the way. So, she's won one of these before, and so it's going to be fun. Okay, next, my main man, Luke. There he is. One of my first friends at Gradle. He's one of my best friends. I love this guy. If you ever use Jeb or Rat-Pack or even Gradle, this is the man, and now he's working on Gradle Enterprise these days. Next up, Simona Bateman. She works on productivity at Google Fitbit. And not only have I been working with her for 5 years, I've known her husband for 10 years, so it's kind of like in the family now. Doug Bateman and Simona Bateman have been in my life for a good maybe 12, 13 years now, so love it. Last but not least, Yiming from the LinkedIn Developer Productivity and Happiness.
What's up, man? Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we got 8 topics. Let's go to the first one. Very highly voted. How do you identify developer pain points in the developer lifecycle? Aubrey, you're first.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Sounds good. So we do this in a variety of ways, one of which is getting direct feedback. We hear from users, neighboring teams, who are all nicely vocal. We really appreciate their feedback that they give directly to us. Another one is via support. So we have various support ways where people can request help with things that are not going quite exactly right. And so we're able to see patterns in there. And then the third way that we do it is with behind-the-scenes tracking. So exporting metrics, taking a look at what we think might be a problem, and then seeing, are we right? Sometimes.
Perfect. All right. Luke, you're up next.
Yeah. We work with a lot of different teams working on different aspects of developer productivity, and I can always tell a difference when those teams have people embedded out in the actual development team. So they're getting first-hand experience of the tooling as opposed to just reacting to the feedback. So I think that's probably one of the most effective things you can do is get developer productivity professionals out there experiencing and using it like users. It's not that common, unfortunately, but it's very effective.
Yeah, having one DP member on the team reporting back.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, Simona, you're up next.
All right, well, for us, the easiest way is wait for the screams. They come in all the time. But that's obviously not very, it is very reactive, so you don't want to do that. So we have two other ways that we do that. Metrics. We want to measure how long does it take for a new engineer to go from their training class to committing code. That's one. The number two is surveys. We want to interact directly with the people and find out what they care about. So sometimes when you're in the back end, you don't get to hear everything.
All right. And Yiming, to wrap it up.
Sure. Answer is simple. Just do 1 week of on-call. No. Jokes aside, like similar to what all the awesome answers, we do also like LinkedIn. We also do metrics. We also do surveys. But I think what our secret sauce is also having developer productivity champions in those product teams. That works really well for us because they work on products mostly, but they are developer productivity enthusiasts. They work closely with us, and that will really help us get the feedback from the team.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, audience, get your phones out and vote for who made the best point.
Doing this acapella.
That's what.
Yiming's in the lead. It's a pretty big lead. All right, I guess we all know who won on this one. Yiming. I mean, you had him. I knew at the clap that you were going to win this one. Give it up for Yiming. All right, the next one's a fun one. I'm sure you all have experienced this one before. When do you say a migration is done? Many of you are doing 1 or 2 or 3 of these now. All right, okay. Yiming, you're up first this time.
Oh, really? Okay. So at LinkedIn, we are using multi-repo. So actually, you may not believe there are still teams using Gradle 4. So yeah, for us, it's probably 80-20 rule, right? The centralized team will do the migration for most people and then help them. And then the last 20%, we probably will really talk to them about why you're still using it, the benefit of upgrading, and then maybe by the end of the day, someday we'll give them some deadlines. So you really need to migrate. So that's how we are doing some of those things. We also have something called horizontal initiative to drive some of those things. Assign tickets. This is always the easiest way.
All right. Okay. Simona, you're up next.
All right. There's done 1 and there's done 2. Done 1. The majority have actually followed the migration rules and have done it, and everything is going great. But you still have lingering. So we were supposed to move from Kerberos to Turnstile 6 years ago. We still have Kerberos. By the way, we're the last team using it. So it's our fault. But yeah, so the second one is it's out. It's out.
Easy as that, it's out. Luke, you're up next.
Yeah, I think it's an easy mistake to make when planning a migration to not actually plan to go on. I mean, it's hard to get rid of that long tail, but if you don't do that, then you haven't migrated anything. You've just created another thing, and you're just sprawling. So it's got to be done when it's turned off, locked away, and never to be seen again.
Just pull the plug.
Yep.
Love it. All right. Aubrey, you're up next.
Yeah, very much just like what folks are saying here. Migration is done when it's entirely deprecated, all the references are not active anymore. People have been informed that this thing is not supported, so please don't use it anymore. It's really not going to work out the way you expected. We've definitely seen this with a bunch of different migrations that we have, and it's been tricky, and it's always about chasing down those long tails. It's really how much do you really want for this migration to be done?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Audience, your turn. Get your phones out. Who do you think made the best point?
Doing this acapella.
Luke with pull the plug. Who knew? It's going to be that easy.
It's that easy. Yep.
Pull it right out of the socket. Love it. Okay. All right, we got Luke and Yiming on the board. Question number 3. How do you kill a tool? Simona, you're up first.
You delete it completely and utterly from existence. But obviously, that's not how it goes. It goes very much like migrations. You have to do some planning. You have to give people replacements for that tool. You can't just take it away. People are going to get mad. But ultimately, the definition is you tell people, we're moving away from this. Here's your replacement. This will work better. Convince them that this is the right thing to do. And then just slowly roll it out and ultimately delete everything related to it.
All right. Yiming, you're up next.
Sure. You know, you really need to do some kind of targeted communications. Maybe you really want to know who is still using it, right? So you may want to have some metrics to track who is still using it. Send communication to them because you may not want to send a company-wide communication just to kill a tool, right? However, I mean, things will always drag on, and then what I normally do, sometimes I'm having a conversation with them. Let's say the last 5 teams, we'll ask them, then do you want to own the tool? I'm going to transfer this tool to you.
Good one.
That's normally the last nail on the coffin. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Luke, how do you kill a tool?
Yeah, I think that a common mistake in trying to do this is getting engineering teams thinking about this as tech debt, which I think just makes it way too easy to defer dealing with it. So I think you ultimately need to get it put on the same level as a kind of product priority to force teams to move and deal with this. If it's debt, then it's just going to wait till the very, very last minute to deal with it. So I think that talking to people who set the priorities for the team and getting it put at that level as opposed to just relying on the engineers doing the right thing is an effective way of dealing with it.
All right. Aubrey, to wrap it up, how do you kill a tool?
All right. I think it's important to figure out what are people really using this tool for. Is it the intended purposes that went in there in the first place? Whatever it is, those usages, it's good to be able to provide a drop-in replacement as very much as possible. That way it's easy to go and migrate to this other thing. It's a nice migration path. Things are working better. All of these good attributes there. And then at some point, you have to say things like, we cannot straddle using this old tool that is leaving now and this new one as well. So I'm going to echo what was said before, that if you want to keep using it, you get to own it now.
All right. Okay, audience, your turn to vote. Who made the best point?
Doing this acapella.
Just pass it on to the users. I love it. You killed it with that. Yiming, give him a round of applause.
And product teams, our dear product team normally will say no thanks.
Yeah. All right. Number 4. And I really like this one, actually. This is one of my favorites. What's the most valuable engineering productivity mistake you've made? Because we're going to learn more from mistakes, right? Luke, you're up first.
Yeah, I just kind of struggled with this. People told me this was a mistake at the time, I'm not sure, but when we started Gradle Enterprise 6 years ago, not embracing a multi-repo microservices model, because 6 years ago, that was the done thing. It was the answer to every single question, solved all the problems. But we didn't do that, and I'm very glad we didn't, and not dealing with that today. So for me, that's People express that as a mistake, but I think it's been very valuable that we didn't do that.
Okay. Aubrey, you're up next.
Okay. One of the things that Netflix has been taking a look at recently is local developer wait time. We want to make sure that we're reducing this so that things that you do every day are as frictionless and there's as little wasted time so people can just kind of stay in the flow. So we were taking a look at configuration time for people's builds. And we're like, we're pretty good. It's great. We can address plugins that need to be updated, whatever kinds of things. We saw much larger items than we expected. So we realized actually there was an issue to be opened. We opened it up, and then there was a fix put in with Gradle and IntelliJ, which makes for parallel dependency resolution for sources jars. So everything is much faster now. We saw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mean?
Cool.
Sure. I think even for DPH, some of the mistake that we made is actually try to make everyone use the same process. For example, iOS devs and Java devs and Android dev or web devs, try to make them build in the same way, for example, or test in the same way. Overall, that has not been doing well for LinkedIn. We got a lot of feedback from developers. This is not working well. So now we're transitioning to let people use the more native tooling. That's good for DPH, the developer productivity team as well, because we are reducing our support load as well.
Okay, love it. And Simona, to wrap it up.
All right, for us, it was making hopeful assumptions. We've had a monolith for a while. We've been trying to get rid of it. And one of the things we said 5 years ago, we're not going to invest into making developers' lives easier with this because it's going away. And we want it to go away quickly. It hasn't gone away. This is still one of the biggest frustrations for our engineers. We're finally now investing in a team dedicated to it, and we really wish we had done it sooner.
All right. Okay, audience, time for you to vote.
Doing this acapella. Doing this acapella.
All right, Simona, you're on the board. Ah. All right, we're going to do a quick commercial break from our sponsor. And of course, who else but our favorite hero here.
Number 9.
Does this look familiar? Hello, I'm Dr. DPE. Around the world, millions of desperate developers suffer from CI backup every day. You know the painful humiliation of desperately needing to run a PR build when there's nothing you can do but wait for the blockage to pass. Someone may have told you that CI backup is just a part of a developer's life. Ha ha ha, no! If you're tied in knots with CI backup, you need clinically proven, doctor-recommended Gradle Enterprise. Gradle Enterprise is recommended for the treatment of CI backup. Side effects include faster PR builds, more efficient use of your CI resources, and thick, lustrous hair, all without waxy buildup. In some cases, users reported difficulty to be busy during the idle time they've been accustomed to. Ask your doctor if Gradle Enterprise is right for you.
I swear to God, Gradle Enterprise is cheaper than a colonoscopy. I swear to you. Believe me, it is. Okay, all right. Question number 5. Build versus buy. You've all dealt with it before. Aubrey, you're first. When do you build? When do you buy?
Okay, we're going to take a look at some of our core, what our core product is, and whether it makes sense, whether we want to support something or just get it from someone where it's their life goal, their purpose to be working on this item. So for some of nice concrete examples, we bought with existing tooling, thank you Varnish, to really help out with artifact caching layer in front of Artifactory, in front of our artifact storage location. As another example, we went ahead and built some things for a one-time migration to move a bunch of artifacts, move a bunch of metadata, and we'd only need that one time.
All right. Luke, you're up next.
I don't think there's going to be any surprise in this answer, but you just buy.
Is that a Gradle Enterprise plug? Or is
Just
that,
buy
is that what
Gradle.
that
Well,
is?
I wasn't being
Is
that
what is?
explicit about it, but yeah, you can
Well,
interpret
maybe
it
our
that way if you want
size.
to. Yeah. Yeah, I think that especially in the world of subscription software, I think that it's very easy to underestimate what it takes to maintain and continuously improve a tool. So I think that outsourcing that to somebody else a lot of the time makes sense. So yeah, just buy it.
Okay. Simona.
All right, we've built a lot of internal tools over time. We've replaced most of them with something else. What we've learned about it, we have a small team. It's hard to maintain those tools. When you write a tool, when you create one, it's not just about writing it. It's about maintaining it. It's about building features. It's about interacting with your customers all the time. You'll find out eventually that it's a lot cheaper if you can find the right product that's already out there doing what you want it to do.
Okay, love it. Maintainability. Yiming, to wrap it up.
Sure. I think the first question we should ask ourselves is this problem unique to this company, right, to us? If the answer is yes, then looks like you may be out of luck, you may have to build, right? But if the answer is no, it's not unique, then you probably have a lot of options. I think the key is, again, cost efficiency, right? Like maintainability, things like that, performance, UI. One thing I see people make mistake is like they don't count people's salary. They have 5 engineers working on the internal tool. These are all costs as well, right? We should factor it in when we really compare build versus buy.
Yep, love it. All right, audience, who made the best point on build versus buy?
Doing this acapella.
All right, Yuming again. You're killing it today, Yuming. Give it up for Yuming. Number 6, how to better increase self-servability in our tooling so folks are not blocked by talking to us and waiting on support and all this. Yuming, you're up first.
Sure. I think this discoverability is key here. I think the most frustrating thing for DPE engineer is not that the tool you built does not work well, is that the people don't even know about it. Right? So in this case, it's very important to maybe make sure you have some kind of portal or some communication to make sure people know about it. And also another thing is always better error messaging, right? Better error messaging, don't tell me this is broken, tell me how do I fix it.
Okay, love it. Simona, you're up next.
All right, for us, we spent a lot of time doing the chat thing, chat support. We spent about 75% of our time helping people. It didn't go very well. We moved to Google. Google has basically their own internal Stack Overflow. Ever since then, our interactions have been reduced to basically 10%. We answer Yaks, but when somebody has a question, they go to Yaks. Oh, hey, this other person also asked the same question. Great, I have my answer. We don't have to answer anymore. So that was it.
All right. Luke.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing I've seen in this area is working with a team that invested a lot in failure pattern matching. So across their tool stack, they would analyze different types of failures and be able to pin them to different root causes and point people at that. It was a pretty expensive thing. It took them a lot of effort to do it, but they saw massive returns in that. So yeah, just because they were dealing with so many failures due to infrastructure and other things like that, and being able to point people where to go and how to deal with that, even when it presents slightly differently, was super effective.
Okay, love it. Aubrey.
I think one important strategy is also just taking a look at how can you prevent their failure in the first place. So we send nightly PRs out. If there's DSL that's updated, things that need to go to a better kind of setting things up, and just front load that work on our particular team to make sure that we're not releasing things that are going to be broken for people very shortly. Another one is definitely taking a look at what kind of nice error message that can be made. So if there's items that are going to be popping up, point them to some sort of quick link that they can go take a look at more information, see debugging tools, those kind of items. And then a sibling team of ours has also had a lot of luck with IDE help, just putting it right in there.
Love it. Great answers. Nobody said training, though. Training, webcasts. Oh, well. Anyway, all right, audience, vote it up.
Doing this acapella.
All right. Got Aubrey on. Yeah. And it's not about the points. It's about you guys learning something, and it's just part of the interaction and making it fun, right? Just want to make that clear. All right, number 7. How do you balance developer desires to use new tools against the efficiencies of using already well-supported tools? Folks always want the shiny new thing, right? Simona.
Well, first I'm going to argue that well-supported tools doesn't necessarily mean more efficient. But desires versus tools, you want to make your tools so easy to use that nobody wants to try other new things. So for example, for us, deployments. Everybody was trying to do their own thing, build their own little tools, try to use the latest thing. Everybody was doing things differently. It wasn't working very well. We built our own standard deployment tool. Everybody's using it. They don't have to do much. They just click a button, literally, and everything's taken care of it for them.
All right. You mean?
Sure. developers are hackers, right? Even we ban them from using any shiny new tool, they're going to hack around and make it work. So I think the important thing, the thing we are trying to practice at LinkedIn right now is something called golden path, right? For example, fine, right? You want to hack around, you want to use your own tool, we'll not ban you from it. However, we'll give you guidance. This is maybe the best, the most supportive way in this case, and you probably should use it. But of course, we will not ban you from using whatever tool you want to use.
All right. Aubrey.
At Netflix, we talk a lot about freedom and responsibility. So what are the choices that you're going to make? How is it supporting your team, the thing you want to solve, Netflix overall? So recently, this has changed more to be able to say, as long as there is a tool that we have made, it's provided by a centralized team, we really want folks to be using it if it meets about 80% of their goals, if it meets 80% of their infrastructure needs, their use case, their performance goals. And the reason is because there's a lot of cross-functional requirements that are not immediately visible, that aren't visible even if you dig down pretty far, and implicit contracts that are already set up with this particular tool.
Okay. Luke, to wrap it up.
Yeah. I'd like to think of a company here in the US, I don't know, went through a kind of digital transformation, and their approach was to ramping up, just let everybody use whatever they want, right? And it was actually very successful for recruiting. People wanted to work in that organization because they could pick whatever it is they worked with. A couple of years later, though, it hasn't turned out particularly well, particularly for the SREs. I think that if you're going to take that approach, you really need to make things more vertical, so the people using those tools have to support them all the way through into runtime as well. Otherwise, it's chaos down the line.
Yep. All right, audience, it's your turn. Who made the best point?
Doing this acapella.
Ooh, that was a tight one, huh?
Close.
Aubrey. All right. Last one. Right. Better for developer productivity. Hybrid work from home versus full-time remote versus full-time in the office. It's not about the points, people. Everybody relax. All right, let's have some fun. Okay. Work from home. Luke, you're up first.
Yeah, I've been doing fully remote for about 11 years now, and I think hybrid's best. Based on, I think full-time in the office, I'm not sure if that's ever coming back, really. We'll see. But yeah, so remote work, I think it's really great for focus, but there is a very tangible benefit and impact when we do get our teams together. So that makes, if we could, a hybrid model to me makes a lot of sense. Just that contact is necessary for people. So if you can make that work, I think that's best.
All right. Aubrey.
Yeah, I'm going to agree there. Hybrid work, I think, is the way to go. For my particular team, we have some folks who come into the office really frequently, some folks who are in different countries, some folks who come into the office every now and then. That's just in my small team of 5 people. So I think that the hybrid model has just made us be very conscious about the decisions that we're making, about writing things down, about communicating in ways that we can take a look at now, we can revisit later, and just share a lot of the decisions that we're making together, share inputs on what has been going on, what are we working on, and we're more conscious about it.
So how many days do you go into the office? How many days a week?
About 2 or 3 days this last month.
All right.
Yeah.
You mean?
Hybrid. Yeah, LinkedIn has fully adopted hybrid. But I would say maybe hybrid with an asterisk. I think people may still want to get together once in a while. So maybe hybrid, but once a quarter, some sort of get together for the team. Right? Even for our employee survey, I think for executing projects, when people just write code and push PRs, they are just as effective as like in office versus in remote. However, some of the coaching, mentorship, and also the brainstorming, I think maybe in office still better.
All right. And Simona, to wrap it up.
All right, well, the official answer is it depends on each individual. Do you have kids at home all day who interrupt you all the time? Do you have a long commute? Do you actually work better when you're not interrupted and you're alone at home? In an ideal world, for me personally, would be hybrid. But that, again, would assume a short commute, easy to get to work. Your teammates are not remote. and then you can get together. It's the social aspect is actually really wonderful for productivity.
Beautiful answer. All right, audience. That was the last one. Let's make it good. Vote it up.
Doing this acapella.
It's safe to say this time it's clearly Simona is the winner of this one. What's the score? I don't even know. It's a two-way. Yiming, you were the winner this time around. Thank you. Give me some strobe. Give Yiming some love. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I want to say thank you, Gradle Inc. for hosting this event.
Wait, hold on.
No,
You gotta
not time
you
yet.
gotta bring the music down a little bit. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now you get your 15 seconds of fame. You're famous, Yiming.
Thank
What do
you
have to
everyone
say?
for attending. Thank you for having me, and also thank for hosting Gradle Inc. for hosting this event. And again, a shameless plug. Tomorrow we have a talk about developing in the cloud, presented by my colleagues Shivani and Swati. So definitely, please take a look. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
What a gentleman.